All right, guys, we are back. You are listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. I'm your host, Yoshi Shiraki. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. All right, and today we are discussing renovation steps on a fix and flip property. But before I dive into that, I wanted to share an example. We were talking earlier, the SMART model is to be conservative on a deal that you're going to purchase to fix and flip. Because the reality is, if you buy a fix and flip, here's what happens. If you try to make a property work and the market corrects and then you have to, and you're not able to sell this property for what you think, you become a unwanted landlord for that particular home. Now, there's actually a really smart model. I have a couple friends that will buy fix and flips. And they buy the fix and flip, they analyze it first as a fix and flip. And if the property still works as a rental, because they want to have a plan B in case the market corrects and they cannot liquidate this property, then they purchase the property. So they have two backup plans. They have a plan A and a plan B, and if the property doesn't meet both plan A and plan B, they will pass on it and do what's called wholesaling. They'll wholesale that flip because it could be a really good flip, but they just are more conservative and want to have both plan A and plan B in place. And if plan B isn't something that can be figured out in the analysis, they'll just wholesale the property for a nice little profit and not take the risk of fixing and flipping that property. And then somebody else like myself will buy it and fix it and flip it based off of just the fact that it works as a fix and flip. But there were a lot of people during the last recession that became, unwanted landlords. They ended up buying these properties, they went to fix them, they went to flip them, they couldn't sell it for a profit, so they didn't want to take a loss, so they just held the property thinking I'll just hold it until the value goes back up. And, long and behold, back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, it went down for quite a while, so a lot of these people held properties for quite some time, or back then a lot of them even got foreclosed on, which obviously is no fun. So again, just wanting to be conservative on your analysis when you fix and flip. And again, this market that we're in right now is far more flexible, far more forgiving with the market going up. So you are allowed to make some mistakes, and then if the property appreciates, you are saved by the appreciated market. But again, keep those analyses as conservative. So an example that I'd like to share when I say you can creatively make the deal work without compromising your profit. So if you're just tuning in, I had mentioned before, what you don't want to do is go, okay, I could pay a little bit more for this house than I probably should because I'm going to cut corners on renovations and it'll all work out and balance out. Well, when you start remodeling a home, you run into a bunch of surprises, and sometimes you cut corners and think you're saving money, but then another surprise pops up that you didn't anticipate, and now you're, remodeling a home for free or maybe even a loss, right? Or sometimes I hear new investors say, well, the market's appreciating, so it'll take me about 6 months to finish this fix and flip. If I purchase the house today for a little bit more than I should, it'll all work out because the house will be worth more in 6 months. And that's where we're talking about be conservative with your analysis. Those are not good rules of thumb, because if the market does correct, we don't know what 6 months from now is going to hold. What if it does? And now you've taken that risk and gamble, and now you're going to remodel a home for free, or again, even a loss. If it doesn't work, then there's other opportunities that can be orchestrated to make the property work. For example, seller financing. So I'll give you an example. If a lot of fix and flippers will utilize hard money loans, they're short-term loans, 6 months loans, typically 6 months to 12 months, depending on how big the project is. Typically though, smaller homes, you're going to get a 6-month hard money loan. And hard money loans are pretty expensive, anywhere from about 12% and 2 points to 15% and 4 points, and even higher, right? But I would say 12% and 2 points, up to 15% and 4 points is pretty normal from what I see a lot of investors utilizing. The more seasoned investors tend to get 12 and 2. Because they have better relationships, they're a lower risk investor to loan to versus the guy who's fixing and flipping his very first house. He's probably going to get a loan closer to 15% and 4 points because he's a higher risk. He's never done it before. 2, where if you're seasoned, you start to even get even lower percentage because you develop these relationships. Private money starts becoming more and more available, but and private money typically is going to be cheaper than hard money. So 12 and 2 though, up to 15 and 4 is pretty normal for fix and flippers. And when you calculate 12%, 15% on a purchase price that you're going to hold for, let's say, 4 to 6 months, it becomes pretty expensive, right? That's a big chunk of cash that you're forking over every single month, depending on how your hard money loan is structured. It might be every single month, or you might just pay all of the hard money loan chunk at the end. There's 2 types. There's definitely more than 2 types, but typically there's 2 scenarios that play out. You're either going to have a hard money lender that says, I want monthly payments. So, for example, 12%, let's keep the math easy. 12%, since there's 12 months in a year, will translate to 1% a month. So if you purchase a home that you're going to fix and flip and you buy it at $300,000, okay, and you're going to purchase it at $300,000 and you're going to sell it for a higher price, the hard money loan at 1% on $300,000 is $3,000 a month. So if you held that property for 6 months, that's $18,000 a month in monthly payments. That's not even the 2 points that we're talking about in our example. 2 points, 1 point represents a percentage, so another 3,000. So 2 points would be 6 more thousand, right? Each point is 1%, and 1% of 300,000 is 3,000. So now we basically have $24,000 in hard money cost at the end of 6 months. You're either going to take that out at the end of the flip. Some hard money lenders will say, you can pay me that $24,000 or whatever it is, if you hold the property. That's why you want to, remodel as quickly as possible. The shorter you hold the loan, the cheaper it is as far as financing costs. The longer you hold it, the more expensive it becomes. So let's just assume you kept it for the full 6 months. That's $24,000. So your profit better be more than $24,000 that you calculated, because right there alone in hard money costs, your profit would be gone if that's all you were going to make. So some hard money lenders will say, listen, when you sell the house at the end, don't worry about paying me monthly payments. We'll just take the $24,000 off the proceeds. That's my preferred, type of hard money loan. I don't want to make monthly payments if I don't have to. And it just gets taken out at closing, right? But then there's some hard money lenders, and these might be hard money lenders that are loaning more to like newer investors that are higher risk. They're going to want to see skin in the game consistently throughout the month. So they might say, 12%, 2 points. The 2 points are up front, so I need $6,000 right now, and we're going to, at closing, and we're going to charge you $3,000 a month mortgage payment for the next 6 months that you have to make every month, so that your skin is basically in the game. And they're going to be paid throughout the transaction versus at the end of the transaction, right? So if we can, in our analysis, figure out how to minimize that $24,000, that's a way to creatively make the deal work, right? I'm not banking on the market appreciating. I'm not banking that I can cut corners on the renovation to cut down costs, because I can't bank on either of those. I don't know what the future is going to predict in the appreciating market. It might not appreciate, and I don't know what kind of surprises I'm going to find in the house until we start digging into the remodeling. But I can creatively minimize that $24,000 by lessening that amount that I'm going to have to pay to a hard money lender if I can get the seller to seller finance me the property for, let's say, 6 months. So rather than getting a 6-month hard money loan, I'll ask the seller to do a seller finance 6 months transaction. And basically you're sharing with the seller, listen, I have to go out and get a loan to buy your house, and then from there I'm going to go ahead and remodel it. However, these loans are kind of expensive, and I'd rather pay the money to you so you can make a little extra money. So, meaning, I will pay you the price that we agreed on, that I'm going to pay you, but I'll also pay you a little extra if you're willing to keep your loan in place for the next 6 months while I remodel the house. And basically, their mortgage payment, hopefully, depending on how long they've had it, is significantly less than $3,000 a month, right? If this is an old grandma house, the house might even be free and clear. There might not even be a mortgage, at which point you could negotiate, listen, I'll give you an extra $700 a month, or $500 a month, or $1,000 a month. It's just extra if you're willing to let me sell or finance your property during the 6-month period while I'm renovating it. So if you can, let's just say even $1,000 a month, you share with the seller, this person inherited grandma's house, there's no mortgage on it, and you say, listen, I can get you $6,000 extra dollars. You just have to get it in increments of $1,000 a month for the next 6 months if you're willing to sell or finance me or own or finance me the property. And that $6,000 at the end of the day is significantly less than the $24,000 you would have had to pay to a hard money lender. That's what I mean about getting creative with how you structure the deal on things you can control, like control the financing. You can control the financing. And so if you can do that, then that's how a lot of investors will take a deal. You'll see these investors, a lot of new investors, fix and flippers that have not been in the game long, go through a property, they'll analyze the deal, and it doesn't work, and then they walk away. And then, Mr. Randall Wall, who is my mentor, my broker, one of the greatest fix and flippers I've ever known, will follow up behind that investor and buy the house. And then the first investor's going, how the heck did Randall buy the house? There was no spread, there was no room. Well, they didn't know how to get creative on structuring the deal in a way that it could still work. I, to this day, love sitting down with Randall and hearing some of the most creative ways that he's made opportunities work where most people passed on him. I mean, we're talking tons of people have passed on him, and then he comes and structures something incredible, something really amazing, and ends up making the deal work and making quite a good profit from it just because he was able to fix a problem that nobody else could see. So that's what I mean by getting creative. I'm hoping that for those new investors or anyone who's out there who's thinking about remodeling a home and wondering, okay, I've looked at all these opportunities on the MLS and none of them make sense, especially if I have to borrow hard money. Start thinking creatively. Start thinking out of the box. Maybe you don't get a hard money loan. Maybe you ask the sellers to seller finance. Maybe they do have a mortgage. The example we spoke about just a second ago was the house is free and clear. But let's just say that there is a $1,700, let's keep math easy, $1,500 mortgage payment on the property. And you just ask the seller, listen, would you be willing to leave that mortgage in place for 6 months while I remodel this? And I will make that $1,500 a month payment so you don't have to. That $1,500 a month is still 50% of the $3,000 a month example we were using. It's still significantly less, right? So basically, you sometimes have to think out of the box, creatively come up with a different opportunity that can present itself to make the deal work. All right, so it's time for another commercial break. We are going to come back and start diving into the remodeling steps. So, without further ado, it's time for commercial. Hi, I'm Yoshi Shiraki, the author of the book, My Body's Just For Me, the book written for children to educate children on the prevention of child abuse. With the assistance of multiple best-selling author Richard Paul Evans, we were able to publish this book as a tool to help break the ice in an easy and innocent way to help children understand and learn how to speak up and communicate. I've been invited numerous times onto Good Things Utah to discuss the importance of good communication with your child in regards to abuse, and also to discuss how the book, My Body's Just For Me, is a great tool for every parent when having that tricky conversation with their children. For more information on the book, My Body's Just For Me, please visit our website at www.protectourangels.com today. And remember, the more we focus on prevention, the less we'll have to focus on rehabilitation.